without the ability to meet in person, even for the committees, the people who have been participating on committees have been extremely frustrated at the way in which the normal deliberative process has unfolded. I think I can say that almost across the board. Nothing can replace the in-person session, and yet we know as parliamentarians we have to abide by the health restrictions that our chief medical officers and others have put in front of us.
Great advantage in committees is you can come back with successive questions, which is clearly impossible in the parliamentary, in the full Commons, in the full chamber. But you are able to come back, and therefore you manage to dig much deeper. Committees work enables us to take evidence from people transatlantic, which we did only last week. But at the same time, I think we lose a lot, particularly getting really to the bottom of issues. And from what you're saying is that seems to be a frustration in Canada as well.
I think it's fair to say that is exactly what the experience has been. I mean, we know that committees can often be a great way for cross-party cooperation and understanding as well, because it's a smaller group of MPs, they're working together and hearing testimony at the same time. But when they're physically apart from each other, you lose that dynamic. And it's almost as though it's not like they're anonymous when they're presenting and or doing their part of the questioning, but their physical and sort of technical distance from the actual heart of the matter in some ways makes it a little bit easier for them to perhaps treat that exchange in a different way, and perhaps not as one that's as aware of the kind of dynamics that would normally be in the room. So you really lose something there, I think. Certainly adversarial elements that raise these key questions, but also some of the camaraderie that can be had through it as well.
Now, I don't know about yourselves, which is why I'm asking. I would say nearly all members of Parliament from all parties and all regions have seen a massive escalation of constituency casework. Not all immediately health related, a lot of it to do with employment, to do with the various schemes in order to maintain people's income or to maintain their businesses, issues on the self-employed or not. And in my case, a huge workload with, and I know Canada has a big Sikh population, and I had a significant number, particularly of elderly and retired Sikhs who go and see the family in March, because that's about the best time of year. But I think one of the messages we do need to get across, and I'd be interested in your observations on that before we get on to the main questions, is whether you're facing that similar issue, convincing the public basically that we're earning our corn.
Yeah, very much so. All of our MPs, of course, they're all back in, including ministers, many of them working from home in their home ridings. But the volume of inquiries right from the get-go, from the imposition of this new era and all the health restrictions, the degree to which the government programs have reached broadly across each of our ridings have also created a ton of work. We're not seeing people in person, obviously, but through phone and email, our constituency staff are right at their limit, and in fact, in many cases, over it. But as that started to tail off, we have switched into support on the government programs, which are very far-reaching income supports for businesses and these other things, raising a multitude of questions. So I think it's fair to say that our even our media reporting of virtual sessions is next to nil, compared with, for example, daily sessions in the House of Commons. When the House is functioning and question period is on, this is often where journalists will take their cues as to the issues of the day. That's just not the case in following these virtual sessions. They're happening, certainly. Questions are being put, answers are provided, but very little of it is catching the attention of the public.